No one is talking about this, but we've got to dive straight into it, because what we're about to reveal will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about Rihanna, Ashanti, and the behind-the-scenes reality of the music industry. Stay tuned, because we have insider receipts, fan backlash, and emotional truths to break down. And don't go anywhere. So here's what the streets are whispering. An insider has come forward, leaking what looks like confirmed receipts of Ashanti reaching out to none other than Rihanna. The request was simple but bold. Riri, can we work on a song together? Ashanti, riding on the highs of her personal life and new marriage to Nelly, was clearly seeking to reignite her career with the biggest female star in the game. But the answer she got? Well, let's just say it was far from the yes she hoped for. Rihanna's response, according to these alleged leaks, was firm, respectful, but also unshakable. Nice try. I just had my third child with my husband, A AP Rocky, and I can't move forward with you recording songs right now. I want to take care of my child first, maybe when she is a little bit grown. Ouch. A rejection wrapped in politeness, but still a rejection. And for Ashanti, this may have been a harder pill to swallow than anyone could imagine. Think about it. Ashanti has been trying to find her footing musically for years. Yes, her legacy is untouchable, but when it comes to new projects, the numbers tell a different story. Her most recent track, Call You Up, barely scratched 50,000 streams. For an artist of Ashanti's caliber, those numbers feel like a slap in the face compared to her early 2000s reign. And that's where fans are split. Some say Rihanna should lend a hand, while others argue she has no business trying to save Ashanti's career. Now here's where it gets even messier. Some fans are framing Rihanna's rejection as more than just timing or motherhood. It's being painted as a business move. Because Rihanna doesn't just collaborate for fun. She's strategic. She's protective of her brand, and she knows every feature she gives can skyrocket another artist's career. Does Rihanna really want to hand Ashanti that lifeline? Especially when Ashanti's current momentum isn't aligned with the industry's top charting names? But let's be real. Rihanna's reply wasn't cold. In fact, it highlights exactly where she is in her life. 3 children deep, building an empire with A AP Rocky, still holding on to Fenty, Savage X Fenty, and her billion-dollar empire. Music isn't her main hustle right now. It's family. And who can blame her? Still, Ashanti's camp clearly hoped this collab could be the spark to reignite her musical dominance. The backlash online was immediate. One camp of fans flooded social media saying, "Yes, we need this collab. Ashanti and Rihanna together would be iconic." They imagine a throwback R&B revival, dripping in nostalgia and power. But the other camp? Brutal. Tweets and comments poured in, calling Ashanti's request desperate and slamming her for trying to ride Rihanna's wave when her own career hasn't been moving. This raises the ultimate question. Was this simply bad timing on Ashanti's part? Or does Rihanna's response mark a clear boundary in the industry? That some legends can't be saved by collaborations. But wait, here's the kicker. Insiders are saying this isn't just about Ashanti's career. Some whispers claim Rihanna felt the request came too soon after the release of Call You Up, which underperformed massively. To Rihanna's team, the timing could have looked opportunistic, almost like Ashanti was asking Rihanna to rescue her just as her numbers dipped. And Rihanna? She doesn't play savior, she plays queen. And this is just the beginning. Because as the drama unfolds, we have to ask, how does Ashanti bounce back from this rejection? And could Rihanna's not now actually mean never? The internet has been split right down the middle over this situation, and it's not just about music. It's about legacy, pride, and survival in an industry that chews people up and spits them out. On one side, you have Ashanti's loyal fan base, saying she deserves a shot. They argue that Rihanna teaming up with Ashanti would be the comeback story of the decade. 2 queens of R&B and pop finally uniting. What could be more powerful? But the other side? They're not buying it. They're saying Rihanna should protect her brand at all costs and that Ashanti's recent numbers prove she isn't ready to stand beside Rihanna on the charts. Fans started pulling receipts, comparing Ashanti's Call You Up streaming numbers to Rihanna's last major single, Lift Me Up. which dominated global charts as part of the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever soundtrack. The contrast was painful to look at. While Rihanna racks up millions overnight, Ashanti is fighting for tens of thousands. And in the harsh world of social media, numbers are everything. Fans didn't hold back, calling the collab request embarrassing, too little, too late, and even labeling Ashanti as clout chasing. But let's pause for a second, because this isn't just about numbers. It's about two very different journeys. Rihanna walked away from music for years, only to come back when she wanted to, and she still commanded the charts. Ashanti, on the other hand, has never truly left, but the industry hasn't always supported her the same way. Some argue that Rihanna benefits from the infrastructure of being a global pop star, while Ashanti has had to grind independently, carving her own lane with limited backing. And here's where emotions come into play. Ashanti isn't just some random artist looking for a collab. She's a legend in her own right. Songs like Foolish, Rock With You, and Always On Time with Ja Rule shaped an entire era of R&B and hip-hop. So why is it that when she asks for a collaboration, she gets treated like she's begging? Shouldn't her contributions to music history count for more? Fans who support her argue that the disrespect is proof of how women in R&B often get written off once their chart numbers dip, no matter their legacy. Meanwhile, Rihanna's fans, known as the Navy, have been ruthless in their defense. They point out that Rihanna doesn't need to give out features to keep herself relevant. If anything, people need her. They argue that Rihanna is prioritizing her children, her empire, and her peace, and that's her right. If she doesn't want to record, she doesn't have to. If she doesn't want to collab with Ashanti, she doesn't have to. It's that simple. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. Some insiders are whispering that Rihanna's polite rejection wasn't just about timing or family. It was also a subtle way of saying that Ashanti isn't on her level right now. Think about it. Rihanna doesn't jump into collabs lightly. The last big collaborations she did, Drake, Calvin Harris, Eminem, were all cultural moments that set the internet on fire. If she links up with Ashanti and the song flops, that's a stain Rihanna doesn't need on her record. Ashanti, however, has been nothing but resilient. Despite the rejection, sources say she's been quietly working on her own projects, refusing to let this moment define her. And that's where fans are divided again. Some say she should double down, prove she can shine on her own, while others say this rejection shows the industry gatekeeping that keeps R&B veterans from reclaiming the spotlight. But here's the cliffhanger. The receipts don't just stop with Rihanna's rejection. The leak also hints at some behind-the-scenes conversations where industry insiders allegedly mocked Ashanti for even asking. If true, that's more than rejection. It's humiliation. And it begs the question, is the industry really done with Ashanti, or is this just one more storm she has to weather on her comeback journey? Because let's not forget, Ashanti has been here before. She's been written off, doubted, and even mocked. And every time, she's found a way to survive. The only question now is, can she thrive again? Ashanti's story has always been one of survival. From the very beginning of her career in the early 2000s, she had to fight for recognition in an industry that didn't exactly make space for her. When she dropped her self-titled debut album in 2002, it smashed records, selling over 500,000 copies in its first week. She became the princess of R&B overnight, breaking barriers for women in hip-hop collaborations and redefining what a crossover star looked like. But with the highs came brutal lows. Not long after her breakout, Ashanti faced betrayal from the very industry that crowned her. When her label Murder Inc. collapsed under legal troubles and federal investigations, many predicted her career was finished. The machine that had helped build her was gone, and she was left to navigate the cutthroat music business on her own. That would have broken many artists, but not Ashanti. Instead of folding, she pivoted, going independent, building her own brand, and keeping her loyal fan base engaged. This is why Rihanna's rejection hits deeper than people realize. To Ashanti, music isn't just about clout or numbers. It's about survival and legacy. Asking Rihanna for a collaboration wasn't about desperation. It was about building bridges, uniting two powerful voices, and proving that she still belongs in the conversation of music royalty. But when you've been written off as many times as Ashanti has, every no feels heavier, more personal, more public. And let's not forget, this isn't the first time Ashanti has been doubted. Over the years, critics have claimed she was done, that her voice wasn't strong enough, that her time had passed. But every single time she's proven them wrong. Whether it was through her acting roles, live performances that silenced doubters, or simply her unwavering presence at major cultural events, Ashanti has always found a way to remain relevant, even without the backing of a massive label. Compare that to Rihanna's journey. Rihanna walked into the game as a teenager, and with the help of Def Jam and Jay-Z's backing, climbed to the very top of the pop world. But here's the kicker. Rihanna has the luxury of saying no. She can step away for 7 years, launch a billion-dollar empire, and come back whenever she feels like it. Ashanti doesn't have that cushion. She has to keep grinding, keep putting out music, keep proving herself in an industry that often forgets its veterans. And that's why some fans see Rihanna's rejection as more than just a scheduling conflict. They see it as another door being slammed in Ashanti's face, a reminder of how unforgiving this business can be, especially for women who aren't at the peak of the charts anymore. It raises an uncomfortable question. Does talent and history matter less than streaming numbers in today's industry? But here's the twist. This could actually be the fire Ashanti needs. Sources close to her say she's already planning her next move, pouring herself into her craft like never before. And for fans who know her story, this isn't new. Ashanti thrives when people underestimate her. She's always been the underdog, and she's always found a way to turn rejection into resilience. Meanwhile, Rihanna's decision also says a lot about her. She's not careless with her brand. Every move she makes is calculated, every collaboration intentional. Remember when she teamed up with Eminem for Love the Way You Lie? It wasn't just a song, it was a cultural moment. When she worked with Calvin Harris on We Found Love, it defined an entire era of pop music. Rihanna isn't in the business of taking risks that don't guarantee cultural dominance. That's part of why she's still on top. So here we are, Ashanti, the survivor, facing another setback, and Rihanna, the powerhouse, protecting her empire. But the question remains, could this rejection be the very thing that propels Ashanti into her next reinvention? History shows us, when Ashanti is pushed against the wall, that's when she fights hardest. And in the next section, we'll dive into the fan wars. Because while Ashanti and Rihanna may be handling things quietly, their fans are at war online. The Navy versus Ashanti's supporters. And trust me, the clash of these fan bases is nothing short of explosive. The moment news of Rihanna turning down Ashanti's collaboration request leaked, social media exploded. Within minutes, hashtags were trending. Ashanti, desperate, clashed against Wash Respect Ashanti, while Rihanna's Navy flooded timelines with memes, and Ashanti's loyal supporters fired back with passion. What could have been a quiet, private exchange between two stars quickly spiraled into a public spectacle. Rihanna's fans, fiercely protective of her, argued that Ashanti was out of her depth. Some mocked her for even daring to reach out, pointing to her recent single Call You Up, which struggled to break 50K streams. Why should Rihanna waste her time, they wrote. She's a billionaire, a mother of 3, and a global superstar. She doesn't need Ashanti clinging to her name. The Navy wasn't just dismissive, they were brutal. But Ashanti's supporters weren't about to let that narrative go unchecked. They fired back with reminders of Ashanti's legendary run. They brought up her record-breaking debut, her Grammy wins, her history of topping charts when most of Rihanna's Navy were still in grade school. Ashanti walked so your fave could run, one fan tweeted, gaining tens of thousands of likes. The debate quickly shifted from a simple rejection to a generational war, millennials defending their queen versus Gen Z and Rihanna stans guarding their icon. And then came the backlash to the backlash. Critics began to question why women in music are always pitted against each other. Why is a collaboration rejection being turned into a war instead of being treated as what it likely was, a personal choice? Some commentators pointed out that if Ashanti had been a male artist, her request wouldn't have been framed as desperate. Instead, it would have been seen as ambitious. And if Rihanna had turned down a man, it would have been celebrated as her protecting her time, not sparking drama. Still, the noise wouldn't stop. Meme accounts thrived off the drama, with clips of Rihanna laughing in old interviews being recaptioned as her response to Ashanti. Meanwhile, Ashanti's supporters made edit videos of her most powerful performances, reminding the world that she's still a force to be reckoned with. It wasn't just a fan debate anymore. It was a cultural debate about relevance, legacy, and respect. What made things even messier were the receipts. Screenshots of the supposed DM exchange between Ashanti and Rihanna surfaced. While unverified, they spread like wildfire. Some fans swore they were fake, a manufactured attempt to stir drama. Others claimed they were real, pointing to Rihanna's casual tone in the alleged reply. Whether authentic or not, the receipts only fueled the fire, making the story even more impossible to ignore. Insiders close to both camps say neither Ashanti nor Rihanna has any interest in feeding the drama publicly. Rihanna is focused on her newborn and family life, while Ashanti is quietly working on new music and supporting her husband Nelly. But when you have millions of fans dissecting every move, silence doesn't stop the noise, it amplifies it. And the timing couldn't have been worse. Ashanti had just started to rebuild momentum with her relationship news, her glowing pregnancy journey, and her husband's public support. This rejection and the fan war that followed threatened to overshadow everything. It wasn't just about a song anymore. It was about narrative. Was Ashanti being painted as washed up? Was Rihanna being painted as cold and dismissive? Both women's reputations were on the line. The fan wars reached their peak when polls started circulating. One viral poll asked, "Should Rihanna have agreed to collaborate with Ashanti?" And after 500,000 votes, the results were split almost down the middle. That, in itself, proved something important. Despite the noise, Ashanti still had millions who believed in her, who wanted to see her shine again. But the question that lingers in the air is chilling. When fan bases turn on you, when the public labels you desperate, how do you bounce back? And more importantly, what happens to an artist's legacy when every move they make is dissected under a microscope? In the days that followed, the storm refused to calm. Every blog, every gossip site, every social media account that thrives on celebrity drama was eating this story alive. For Ashanti, this wasn't just about a missed collaboration anymore. It became a defining moment in how the world perceives her. And for Rihanna, it was another reminder of the impossible standard she lives under, where even a simple no becomes headline news. But here's the twist. Ashanti didn't cave under the pressure. Instead, she doubled down on her message of resilience. In a recent performance, she delivered a passionate speech about not letting closed doors define you. Fans in the crowd immediately connected the dots, taking it as her response to the Rihanna situation. It wasn't subtle, and maybe that was the point. Ashanti wasn't hiding. She was standing tall. Nelly, ever the supportive husband, reportedly told close friends that he's proud of Ashanti for reaching out in the first place. "It shows she still believes in her art," he allegedly said. And when Nelly speaks, people listen. His unwavering loyalty has become a shield for Ashanti in times like these, reminding fans that even if the industry throws shade, she has someone firmly in her corner. Meanwhile, Rihanna stayed silent. No posts, no cryptic tweets, no interviews. And perhaps that silence spoke louder than any words could. Rihanna has always been protective of her time, her family, and her image. For her, not responding isn't avoidance, it's control. She knows her power and she doesn't give it away easily. And yet, fans can't stop speculating. Could this rejection actually fuel a future collaboration down the line? Could Rihanna, once her daughter is older, circle back and give Ashanti the feature she dreamed of? Or is this the end of that road forever? The uncertainty keeps people talking. And in the world of celebrity, being talked about is sometimes better than silence. What no one can deny is that Ashanti's name has been everywhere. For better or worse, this story has thrust her back into the spotlight. Streams of her old hits surged, Fans who hadn't thought about her in years were suddenly revisiting Foolish and Rock With You. It's a reminder that controversy may bruise, but it also boosts visibility. And in the music industry, visibility is everything. So here's the real question. Does this moment mark the end of Ashanti's relevance or the beginning of a brand new chapter? History shows us that some of the biggest stars, Mariah, Britney, even Beyoncé, have all faced brutal backlash before. And yet, those who refuse to quit often come back stronger than ever. Could Ashanti be next? As the debate rages on, one thing is crystal clear. Both Ashanti and Rihanna are carving their own paths in their own ways. Ashanti through persistence, love, and vulnerability. Rihanna through discipline, boundaries, and family-first choices. Two women, two different approaches. One headline that has brought their worlds together in the most unexpected way. And so, we leave you with this. Will Ashanti turn this rejection into fuel for the comeback of the decade? Or will Rihanna's refusal mark a closing chapter that fans will never forget? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. This story is far from over. Because in the world of music, the biggest drama isn't always the songs. It's the stories behind them.